Okay, people, same day. I just uploaded my video here. You can see it's November 18th, 2021. Now, this one view here is mine because I just opened it up. And then I went into another browser to see what's going on, right? And if you look, I got 2 likes with 1 view. Well, that 1 view is mine. How does that work, people? Like, I don't know. I guess it all falls in line with that shadow banning. Huh? What do you think? I think so. Oh. Having problems with my mouse. No, that's not it. Always having problems with the mouse. But yeah, look at that. You see? Right? There it is right there. I got 1 view with 2 likes. And I already, let's see what happens if I refresh the page. I wonder, assuming I can get my freaking mouse to work. What will happen? Okay. Now I got 4 views and 2 likes. I just found that odd. Hold on. Okay, people, so now it is November 22nd, 2021, okay? It's about, I don't know, maybe 5 o'clock in the morning. All right. So I'm just going to put this first, and then what little bit I did in my sewing room. And I think there was something else on this camera. I can't remember. Because it's not like I've been up to making YouTube safe videos, okay, people? Like I said, I don't appreciate being YouTube's bitch. But besides that point, this is kind of important. Well, it's not kind of, it's very important, it's actually. Pastor Granny, she had a heart attack, okay? And it doesn't look good. All right, I was informed of this yesterday. They're giving her 3 days. I don't know. I don't quite know all the details, okay? All I know is that she had a major heart attack and she's in pretty rough shape. Not, just whatever. And there's a 3-day window from yesterday on. So yesterday, today, and tomorrow, whether she's going to make it or not. And if she does make it, people, she's going to be in a wheelchair, on a feeding tube, and quite possibly like an infant, I guess you could say. Right? Okay. Now, I don't know how I'm going to say everything I want to say. All I know is I want to say something because Pastor Granny deserves more respect than what she's getting, especially from Fraser Health Authority, Andrew the Dragon. Okay, Andrew? Are you watching? Andrew, are your ears ringing? Because currently what's happening right now, Pastor Granny is a Christian, okay? It wouldn't matter if she was Muslim. It wouldn't matter if she was a Punjabi with the temple. It wouldn't matter if she was a Buddhist. It just wouldn't matter, people, right? The point is, her family members, okay? They're like me. We're not falling for the old okie dokie. We're not, okay? They don't want to become national junkies to a slave state. I can't say it any other way, okay? Because that's pretty much what it boils down to, all right? So because a lot of her family members aren't inoculated with an experimental analog, right? And falling for the old okie dokie in terms of being forced into doing something that they don't want to do based on an experiment that supposedly has more benefits than the risk factors, even though people aren't receiving all the information, okay? And apparently, in the United States of America, whatever study is going on is going to be locked away for like 75 years, 50 years or something, 50 years. They're not releasing the study results to the public for 50 years, people, okay? Why? So 50 years of death can happen so that people will forget? Because time is their weapon. I've been saying it for years, okay? The people who cause the most harm in our society, right, that facilitate through the public union sector because they have the resources, they have the workforce, right? They can manipulate the legislation to their benefit as they ignore the legislation when you come back to them with their own legislation and try to hold them to account because our court systems are thoroughly 100% plus corrupt, okay? Like, we're dealing with some very evil things. These are beyond people. We've been infiltrated with things. All right. So that's where I'm at through my own experiences in terms of what's out and about in the community, perpetrating itself to be legit, when in fact it's not. Somewhere in the Bible it says, watch for those wolves in sheep clothing. Okay? We've got a lot of wolves, people, in sheep's clothing. Okay? So I'm just touching base on where we're at with things because currently, right now, Pastor Granny is all by herself at the Ciera Memorial Hospital with nobody being allowed to go inside and visit her and hold her hand and tell her that they love her because we live in a slave state where if you're not on that junkie bandwagon, you're not allowed in. Okay? So here's Pastor Granny going around collecting all this food, giving it to people, working in her yard, rain or shine, right? Freezing cold, hot weather, it doesn't matter. She came to my house, people, last week, okay? Because I haven't been going out. Like, when the apples are falling from the tree, I go out every day, okay? So they got used to me going out because they're like, you know, she come and why haven't you been coming around? Well, we don't see you. She said this a couple times over the last couple of months. And I said, well, I've just been in the house doing food prep. Why are you doing food prep? Well, because of what our governments are doing. I can't say it any other way. Oh, well, you know, God will take care of everything. Don't worry. Well, no, it's not that simple. Okay? Last time she came, that's what she's telling me, right? The last time she came to my house was last week, people. Okay? It was last week sometime. It was like not even 7, 8 days, 9 days ago. Okay? Maybe a week and a half. And, you know, where have you been? We haven't seen you. And I'm like, oh, I'm still doing food prep, you know. And she said, well, you want to come see what we got? She gave me beautiful cheesecake, people. It was really, really good. And yogurt for Amari and that kind of stuff, right? I didn't take too much because, you know, whatever. and she's lifting this shit, right? These big fucking ass bins. And she's 70 years old. And I told her, I said, why are you doing this? Like, you know, like, because, right, it's too much, right? You're stressing your body out too much. It's like, let me lift it, right? Oh, well, I have to, she says, I have to do this in terms of collecting this food because it's being donated to her and then she gives to other people, right? I have to, she says, I have to. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to argue with her, right? You know, I mean, clearly it's a lot of work for one 70-year-old woman. Okay, and we can thank the province of British Columbia, Canada, for that one because they've made it so difficult for the common folk to go out there and have even a legitimate location, unless, of course, they're rolling in about $2 million fucking dollars and they're taking their analog via through saline. Okay, let's be realistic about this, people. We're in a war, all right? Go on to BitChute and watch the video with the warmongers. Right? Because that's pretty much what it freaking boils down to. And another soldier just went down. Okay? Another soldier was just taken out. You understand what I'm saying? Because there was no government helping her. If anything, the government made it hard on her. And now the government has basically isolated her into a shemate position with no witnesses, unless, of course, they've been inoculated with an experimental analog. That much we know. In terms of it's experimental. So much so that the federal government in the United States of America has locked that information in terms of the results of that study for 50 fucking years in order to be able to protect the company. Those are facts, people. Okay? And it all trickled down to Pastor Granny sitting up in some bed hooked up to quote-unquote machines, treated like a criminal. Basically, are you listening, Andrew? Treated like a criminal, right? Where her family members cannot go in and see her unless they come in line with the slave dictatorship. Because this is slavery, people. And knowing what I know as to what they do with bodies at that hospital and at other hospitals, because it's not happening in just one. Whatever happened to Uncle John went with him to the Victoria General Hospital, and they just picked up and carried on with whatever the hell they were doing over here. Okay? And then they eventually just tucked him away like their dirty secret. Just like they're tucking away Pastor Granny like their dirty secret. I know why she had a heart attack. Because she was hanging on to hope. Working as hard as she could possibly work. And through that work, people, through the lifting of those big heavy boxes and those big ass freaking bins with bread inside, rain or shine, heat or cold, that's what gave her a heart attack. Because there was no government to help her. In fact, the government was sabotaging her just by the simple fact of how they're treating her right now. It was just a matter of time, people. Time. Time is their weapon. Just like they're counting the fucking minutes on my clock. They were counting the minutes on Pastor Granny's clock. And now they got her exactly where they want her, like the spiders that they are. As they torture her family, people. They are torturing her family, people. One of her daughters was a nurse up in Kamloops, okay? And because she didn't want to jump on that junkie bandwagon, they fired her. Think about that one, people. They fired her for not jumping on a junkie bandwagon. And I speak from experience because Ciera was a junkie. So I know what a junkie is when I see a fucking junkie. Okay? And trust me, our governments are creating a nation of junkies. As they hide the evidence. Yeah, make it impossible for the public to know the real truth and nothing but the truth. And when it does get to court, the judge just has to, you're trivialist, it's just entertainment. You're just rambling, you're scandalous, and you're a waste of the court's time. Get the fuck out of here. We know how it works. So, I got my envelope for Ciera, speaking of the Surrey Memorial Hospital. Do you see? Okay? Do you see? Okay? This is how much respect I have for my daughter after they did everything that they did to her. Which was a whole lot of fucking nothing. And probably a whole lot of fucking fraud. Okay? Because they're definitely hiding something, people. Just like they're hiding what they're doing to Pastor Granny. Okay? Let's see what this has to say. Matter of fact, I'm not going to keep this too long because we don't know what's going to happen to her. All we know is that either way, it's not going to be good. Just because. And again, we can thank the provincial government of British Columbia, Canada, for that one. For taking away her church. Her church, people. She was forced to do everything in her yard, people. Think about it. All right, let's just read this, and then we'll end this video, and then I'll just follow up with whatever happens to Pastor Granny, and then we'll just see from there what happens. Okay, request for information. We are writing to acknowledge receipt of your October 1st, 2021 request for access to personal information of Ciera, pursuant to Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. In consideration your request for records, don't forget, we've got my family doctor in there like a dirty fucking shirt, right? A very upstanding professional individual in the community, right? That tells his patients to take him to court after years and years and years and years and years of being his family doctor. Section 5, regulations of the FIPPA, who may act for a deceased individual. Yeah, because I gotta go and get it from the judge. You see, they're just pulling on what they want to fucking pull on. And even if I went and fucking did that, people, they'll still ignore it, okay? Because we know, right? I have power of attorney, an enduring power of attorney with Uncle John, and they buried those fucking files, people. Right? They made it so that I couldn't get those from the bank. And when I did get them from the bank finally, because of one good person, one out of a whole system of fucking, I don't know what they are, they still ignored it, people. They still ignored it. Because by that time they had Uncle John tucked away like a dirty secret, so fucking far away it was impossible to get to him. Outline the circumstances in which a relative may access a deceased person's information. It provides that the right to access information under Section 4 of FIPPA may be exercised on behalf of the deceased individual by the deceased nearest relative or personal representative. I'm her mother, okay? This regulation has been interpreted so as to require an applicant such as you to demonstrate that the applicant is the deceased's nearest relative. So what are they saying? I have to prove who I am? Okay. Or personal representative, and that the applicant is acting in the interest of the deceased person and not in his or her own interest. Okay, so we just got Andre, a complete orphan, in part because of what our government had did to Ciera in terms of falsely accusing her of something and then illegally evicting her out into the fucking road and then turning her into a freaking 8-year junkie as they exploited her out in the streets through prostitution and everything else that they fucking did to her, and then they turn around and lured her to her death. All professional people, as she was going in and out of a stupid hospital, okay? Maybe my interests are for my grandson. Maybe, yeah, Ciera deserves justice, doesn't she? Doesn't she? Would you want to be lured to your death? That's like Pastor Granny being outside in the snow. Pastor Granny being outside in the rain. Pastor Granny being outside in the fucking heat wave, right? Pastor Granny being outside in the freezing cold. And what is Pastor Granny doing every day of her life? Collecting food and giving it to the people who need it, people. Outside! Because of what our governments are doing! We are also required under Section 22, disclosure harmful to personal privacy, to determine whether a disclosure of personal information constitutes an unreasonable invasion of a third-party personal privacy. Well, yeah, they don't want me to look and see that they had their goons watching Ciera take a shower and then put a fucking bag on her head when they got tired of standing there after they basically, you know what? And then they hauled her ass off to some other room and did what, people? What, give her quality health care? Or did they just let her calm down and toss her back out onto the fucking streets, knowing that she would be back within a week? That's what they don't want me to see. I don't need to see it though, people, because I fucking lived it. They created a monster. Go into my videos. You hear me say it. I didn't create the monster. They created the monster. Disclosure harmful to personal privacy. Indetermination under subsection 1 or 3 whether a disclosure of personal information constitutes an unreasonable invasion. What are they hiding, people? What are they hiding? What are they hiding, people? They're only protecting themselves. Clearly, they're protecting themselves. Okay? Ciera was a nobody. She was homeless for 8 years from the moment that they kicked her out of my house, people. On an accusation, people. Of a third party's personal privacy. I got it already on fucking video. All the privacy that I need. She was coming to my house all the time, being disruptive, people. And I couldn't do anything about it. Fuck, I had fucking cops coming here, dropping her off, telling me to look after her. Damn well know that I couldn't have her in the fucking house under the state that she was in. Because as soon as I did that, the cops would be calling the fucking social workers on me. They speak with forked tongue, people. Just like they're speaking with forked tongue with Pastor Granny. Oh yeah, you're a pastor. Very nice, very nice. You know, look after your flock. But if you don't do it our way, you're shit out of luck. You're in the fucking gutter. And then when we do finally get you, we're gonna make sure that nobody can come see you. Quality health care. There's your quality health care, people. They had Pastor Granny out in the fucking elements every fucking day trying to do the right thing. They didn't make it so that she could have a church. They didn't want her to have a church. They wanted her outside freezing, people. Unless, of course, she jumped on that bandwagon and became their fucking slave. Well, I'm pretty sure Jesus is looking after Pastor Granny right now, somewhere in the deep abyss of her brain, because that's all she has. They've already taken away her family, people. Don't you understand? And this is what they're going to try and do with Amari when they finally get a chance to cut into him for their research study. To prevent pain. Because they're such good people. People my ass. The head of the public body must consider all the relevant circumstances. So what, are they stalking me? Oh? Or do they got Andrew fucking lurking the halls? Which one is it, people? Including whether the information is about a deceased person, and if so, whether the length of time the person has been deceased indicates the disclosure is not an unreasonable invasion of the deceased person's personal privacy. I only think that my daughter was in a snuff movie, and that whoever fucking was doing that shit literally was feeding off of her as they were recording it. And then they sold it on the black market through their masochist, sadistic fucking little group, okay? With that body dude guy doing his little hand signals to everybody that was connected to that group. I don't have a right to stand up for my daughter with those kind of thoughts? And it's not like I just dreamt them up, people. I was there. I was there. I have it on fucking video. It's online. Okay? It's pretty fucking clear to see something was going on. A disclosure of personal information is presumed to be an unreasonable invasion of a third party's personal privacy. No, they're trying to protect themselves, people. Okay? They're trying to protect themselves. There is pharmacare fraud in Ciera's files somewhere, right? Not to mention other things. If the personal information relates to, and you have to remember, I didn't want to get her files. I could have gotten them from the time she first died, people. But I wasn't looking forward to having 10 boxes full of paperwork. Literally. 10 boxes full. Knowing what with Shimei's files, and just with those 9 days, of her being on that bed, that hospital bed, dead for 9 days, her files are like this. Ciera would be 100 times more. Okay? So it wasn't like I was up for it, people. Right? You know, but I can't let go, people, because I know that whatever is out there that puts itself as a human is like literally stalking and terrorizing and feeding off of us. Okay? How they're feeding off of us, I don't know. Maybe it just boils down to that loose harvesting and they get off on being sadistic. You know, maybe that's all it is, right? Or maybe it's more than that, right? The point is that these people, these individuals, these things, they don't represent the public. They don't serve the public any more than they're serving Pastor Granny right now. You can't have Pastor Granny out on the road, right? Rain or shine, hot or cold, trying to do the right thing for humanity, and then mistreat her in her time of need and abuse her family because they don't agree with your politics. Okay? They don't agree with your experimental analog. They don't agree with becoming a national junkie when they've been around junkies for years. Because we went through that phase when Bill Clinton came in to British Columbia, Canada in the year 2001 and shook Gordon Campbell's hand, and soon after that, all our communities across British Columbia, Canada was flooded with methamphetamine. And that's how Ciera became an addict at 13 years old, because of that. There was no meth until Bill Clinton showed up. And Gordon Campbell became premier. As soon as that hand was shook, within a year and a half, we had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of 11, 12, and 13-year-old little kids running around, getting high off of methamphetamine. And then the drug runners, right? The pushers, the killers, they let those people, right? Those kids do their meth for about 6 years, and then along came heroin. And then along came heroin. And then a lot of them went into heroin. And then magically along came methadone. Right? And then magically along came fentanyl. Right? And now, magically, everybody's expected to jump on that bandwagon with an experimental analog and become a national junkie and not bat an eye on it. And if they say no, then they get mistreated like Pastor Granny and her family. That's basically what it boils down to. And then when you want to see, right, stuff like this is the shit that they pull, right? Because they speak with forked tongue. I'm not surprised, okay? And like I said, it wasn't anything that I really wanted because I wasn't looking forward to 10 boxes full of paperwork. Because I already know what's there, okay? We went through it, people. Her friends went through it, people, right? A disclosure of personal information is presumed to be an unreasonable invasion of a third party's personal privacy if the personal information relates to medical, psychiatric, or psychological history, diagnosed conditions, treatments. Oh yeah, just throw her out in the streets and just let the fucking community pimp her and abuse her and do whatever they want with her and, just hide that fact, right? Just so that, at the end of the day, when she shows up at the hospital, they can do whatever they want to do because it's all interconnected and just protect everybody's privacy, those security guards that were standing around watching her in the shower, the one that put the fucking bag over her head, and just protect all that shit, right? Protect the fact that they booked her in for surgery when she really needed the fucking surgery, moved her over across to get ready for surgery, and then right before surgery, turned around and came in and threw her clothes at her and told her to get the fuck out. And never did give her surgery. It would be interesting to find out, though, if she really did get that surgery. Okay? I think I have a right to know. Being that she came here and told me herself that she thinks that hospital, this Fraser Health Authority, Andrew the Dragon, they're committing a pharmacare fraud through all these immigrants that they bring into this country who don't have health care in terms of coverage, but need operations. What better way than to use a homeless, poor person's medical card number? That's like leaving a dead body on a machine after it's been embalmed for 9 days. That's entertainment for the government. Damn rights, it's entertainment for the government because they allow it to happen, people. The reason you have provided for wanting access to your daughter's, so they acknowledge that I'm the mother, daughter's records do not establish that you are acting on her behalf. Okay, so what? Is YouTube going to take down this video because I'm talking about my daughter acting on behalf of my daughter and her son and the rest of my family, as well as acting on behalf of Pastor Granny, who actually helped me, and I seen what she went through, and I wish I could have done more for her, but I can't because our governments are corrupt. Okay? Right? If you don't got 2 million sitting in the bank and another 10 million sitting up in some Swiss account, you're a nobody in this province. And you will be mistreated unless you jump on that slave bandwagon. When the rubber meets the road, like with Pastor Granny, you will be mistreated. And so will your family members if they don't jump on that bandwagon of being a slave, that is. We have determined that your daughter's right to privacy continues with her upon her passing. Yeah, you can wish for, what is that? How do they say? Skeletons to rest in the closet or something. You can only hope for that to happen because it ain't happening, okay? Because we still live it every day, right? And it would be an unreasonable invasion of her privacy. Now, she was just shitting out in people's yards, people. That's the healthcare system for you, okay? All right? Right? No shame to her game. She was sick. She needed help. She was tossed out into the freezing cold, right? Where else was she supposed to go? What else was she supposed to do, right? She was told she was going to get surgery. She never did. She got her clothes and was told to get the fuck out. They probably didn't even let her go to the bathroom before she left the premises because they had a hard-on and a hate-on for the homeless people. Just like they have a hard-on and a hate-on now for those that aren't submitting to becoming national junkies. Right? That it was that easy to take that hard-on and put it on innocent people who don't agree with their politics. And if you don't agree with their politics, what do? They punish you. You're in the hospital. Who knows what's happening to Pastor Granny's body? Who knows? And they punish the family for not conforming to their orders. Because they're sadistic people. This is sadistic people. This is abuse people. And it would be an unreasonable invasion of her privacy to disclose her medical information. Therefore, we are required under Section 22.2.1 and 22.3a of the FIPPA to refuse disclosure of your daughter's personal information. It was that easy, people. They used the legislation for when it's benefiting them. I will call them on this one way or another, and I will come in front of a crooked fucking judge, assuming that I'm not going to end up like Pastor Granny, with nobody coming to visit me, as those things do what they want with my body, because that's pretty much what it boils down to after the fact of being snagged into their web, people. Because we're not dealing with normal human beings here, okay? We're not. I'm not saying everybody isn't normal, but a lot of them are not. It's got to take a pretty abnormal person to hook up a dead body that's been embalmed and put it on a hospital bed on display for 9 days just to fool everybody that walks through the fucking door for whatever their gain was. Some of it was financial. Some of it was, I'm sure, scientific research study. And then obviously the selling of body parts, whether within the 7-hour period from the time they took her out of here, cut her open, took an hour to embalm her. By 9 o'clock, she was already bloated, hard, with little red marks all over the place, people. All over the fucking place. Because they take this long-ass needle and they go like this to just puff it up with their embalming solution. Okay? Don't be fooled, people. Don't be fooled. But you see, they don't want people to witness that stuff. So they're making it so people can't go in and see now. Right? Unless, of course, you jump on that bandwagon and get hardwired with your inoculation and become addicted to the when's my next shot? I'm feeling sick. As they come after people like me and Pastor Granny's family. Because we don't want to become national junkies, people. We're already being abused by our government, okay? Right? Pastor Granny was being abused by our government for a long freaking time, ever since this all started, right? Like I said, rain or shine, hot or cold, didn't matter. I said to her last week, why do you keep doing this? You know, you're getting old, right? It's too much for you. It's too much for you. I wish I could help you, but I can't motivate. I can't motivate the Punjabi community to step up to the plate for anything, man. And being that I mostly live in a Punjabi community, who else am I supposed to turn to, people? Because the majority of white people are fucked in the head. All you have to do is look at Eleanor Gilding on that one. John's sister. That's how fucked they are. Money, 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 money. Where's the superannuation life insurance policy? I gotta get it by any means necessary. John didn't have one. So there you go. Sit on that one. He got rid of it because he knew what kind of individual you were. I hope it was worth it to you. It was, though, because Joan did. And they left it to John, and she left it to John, and John's sister didn't tell him. You see, that's the thing. They were just hoping for him to fucking die. And being that he didn't die and he got a lung infection, a bacterial lung infection because of some Surrey flu that was killing all these people out here back in 2015, well, once he ended up in the hospital, that was it. They used to rob him of his family, rob him of his dignity, rob him of his health, rob him of everything, all just so they could steal his money. And then tuck him away like a dirty little secret. Tuck him away like a dirty little secret. Assuming that these individuals are still alive, I could get 200 witnesses in terms of who knew Ciera and what Ciera went through and how the healthcare system treated Ciera. But with all this, whatever's going on, at least half of them are probably dead by now. One just recently died, Angelica. Under Section 52 of the Act, you may apply to the Office of Information and Privacy Commission. It's just a waste of time. That's like filing a complaint. It's just a waste of time. To review the decision to not disclose. You see, again, I'm not really interested in having 10 boxes full of paperwork that is clearly going to be manipulated in terms of falsified files. Okay? Or they won't give me the file that says there was 5 security guards in the bathroom watching Ciera take a shower, right? And then have, and because she didn't want to get out because those guys were standing there watching her, some nurse, pill pusher, right, came in and they gangbanged her and put a fucking bag over her head and hauled her ass out of there as she's screaming and struggling. Do you honestly think that they would give me that file? But you see, I don't need the file, people, because I already have Ciera in my garage after they kicked her out after the fact. And she came beelined here and was rustling around in my garage, and I went downstairs. I have it on video, people. And she was hyper mad and storming around. And she told me, as I was recording it, what the fuck they did to her. I don't need their files because they wouldn't give me that file. They would say that's third-party information, nobody's business. And that's the point, people. That's the point. That's the point. When she said that she believed that they were doing pharmacare fraud, she said that over here. Because they, booked her in for the surgery, wheeled her off, got her ready. She thought she was going to go for it, and just as it was time to go, after they moved her to get her ready to go, they just came in and threw her clothes on at her and told her to get the fuck out. She was standing here and talking about that. I don't need their files, people. I already have the information. I dealt with Ciera on a daily basis. And through their health care, the only thing that was created out of it, people, was a monster. Because they didn't help her. They didn't want to help her. Okay? Any more than they want to help Pastor Granny's family. They got Pastor Granny as a criminal. Locked up under lock and key because she doesn't agree with the government's politics to become a national junkie. She's a Christian, right? If she's not anti-vax, right? She's not saying you can't get a measles vaccine or whatever those, those general standard kind of things. But when it comes to a research study, an experimental analog, just because? No. And her family members, the ones that agree with Pastor Granny, they don't have these people, these things, they don't have a right to punish them for something that they don't agree with any more than they had a right to punish Ciera for being sick, people, for having a disease with drugs that was introduced to her at an early age for a political agenda, for the crooks in the community to get rich. To review the decision to not disclose the records for your request, you have 30 days from receipt of this letter to request a review. I'm not going to do that, people, because we already know that it's going to be refused. Unless, of course, I just want to sit here and type up something quick so that I have something for court when I get refused. Right? I mean, that would be the only reason. Oh, well, did you do that? Well, actually, yeah, I did. And we knew that they were going to refuse me. So here's the letter of proof that they refused me, because we know what they're trying to do. They're trying to hide the dirt. That's what they're trying to do. Okay? Just like they are trying to hide the dirt with Andrew the Dragon, with Uncle John. Just like they're trying to hide the dirt with the province of British Columbia, Canada, with David Eby and Minister Farnsworth. I think that's his name. Right? By accusing me of being just entertainment. Okay? Then this is the same thing. They're just trying to hide the dirt. But we already got the dirt on them, people. We already got the dirt. Okay? We lived it. Right? We lived it, people. We lived what they created. Okay? Because it was them who created it. I have videos of Ciera doing really, really well before she was kicked out of the house. But you see, they do their little psychological psyops, right? And they know exactly what's going to happen. And Ciera played right into their hand. Right? She went off and... Well, I mean, what are you supposed to do? Middle of winter, December 12th, you're kicked out of your house, right? You're scared, you have no money, no place to go, right? You can't get your methadone, what you gonna do? You've been an addict for all these years. Obviously, you're gonna do a little heroin, and then within 10 days, somebody took a needle to her, stuck a needle in her arm when she was sleeping, people, and then from that point forward, it was 8 years of fucking misery as they were doing their research study with the Surrey Memorial Hospital, and now they're trying to hide their fucking files, okay? Basically. And then blaming it on my daughter as if she would want privacy, okay? Yeah, okay. Okay, you only had her on the street. Just like Pastor Granny, you only had her on the street for how many years? How many years did they have Pastor Granny out in the fucking elements giving food away, and now they're mistreating your family, and they expect people like me to stay quiet about it as they withhold my daughter's medical records? Yeah, okay, I'm not dead yet. But we know that the government just plays with that time as they mock you, humiliate you, speak with forked tongue, try and tell you that they represent you and only care about you and only want what's best for you when everything is backwards with them, okay? It's completely fucking backwards because they're not a government, people. This is not a government. This is something else. Humans don't mistreat humans like this and then do their little hand signals and grin as they got the stuff. Remember that, as they got the stuff.